Hello, welcome to another episode of the AI Workflow Lab. I'm Tita. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Copilot in Word. I'm really focusing on how Copilot in Word can help you around your productivity challenges. I want to focus on three things: how you can compare documents using Copilot, how you can summarize documents, and how you can create them, rapidly create content using Copilot in Word. So I hope this will be of use to yourselves. So let's get stuck in there. So I'm going to share my screen now. Now, comparing documents. So the scenario I'm going to go with you here is I'm working in HR and I've got a bunch of CVs that I want to compare against the job description. You can imagine how long that would take if I had to do it manually. Open each document, look at the skill sets of each candidate, and then compare it against the job description. Why not use Copilot to do that? So you can see I'm in the HR area. I've got some CVs. I'm just going to first go to Copilot in Word, and this is it over here. Excuse my silly typos there. But you can see I'm in Copilot in Word, and I'm just simply going to click on the icon here, which will launch Copilot. And you can see the templates here. You've got a few prompt placeholders to get you started. So even if you're not quite sure what you want to use it for, it's well worth just opening a Word document and looking at the sample prompts that you've got here. In this particular case, I want to compare the suitability of several CVs against the job description. So you can see here, compare the suitability, which I can't spell, there we are, suitability of the following CVs. So I've got John Smith, I've got Emily Chen, and I've got Michael Tan. And I want to see how their CVs stand up against the job description that we've got, Contosa Marketing Specialist job. So I just add that into the prompt and then I click on generate. And what Copilot is going to do now is review the job description that I have created and then give me an idea of which candidate is most suitable for the role. So working on it shouldn't take too long. I don't think I'll have time to go and make a coffee. It's all about productivity, but hey, if you got a coffee machine right next to you, then maybe you should, but I don't. And in fact, it's already started creating stuff. So you know what? I can't even go and make a coffee. I do have a glass of water, which I'll have a sip of. Anyway, apologies, I digress. As you can see, we have the answers here. So Copilot has gone in. It has compared the three candidates that I had, comparative suitability report of John, Emily, and Michael. It gives me the qualifications in terms of what the required qualifications are for the role. It gives me the candidate profile, a brief overview of the candidates. Of course, I've got that on the CV anyway, but this is my favorite bit. It kind of gives a table and compares them against the requirements that are in the job description. So in the job description, I've got event planning and support, for example, and you can see John Smith, there's no mention of any activity against events planning that he's done, whereas Michael and Emily have done some activities against that requirement. So it automatically pulls the requirements in the CV, compares them against in the job description, and compares them against the skill sets in the CVs. And then at the bottom, at the final bit, it gives me an overall suitability assessment. So John emerges as the strongest overall candidate for that role. So you can see how, and then of course it will still explain the other skill sets of the other candidates and how they stand up. But this took me the time it took for it to create this comparison was, really quick. I didn't even have time to go and make a coffee, I was contemplating making a coffee and it had done the job for me, so I had to just stick with water. But hey, water is healthier, right? In my opinion anyway. But yet again, I digress. Look, so you can see Copilot in Word comparing documents. In this particular case, it was comparing three CVs against the job description. It could have been, in terms of other use cases, you can use it for comparing contractual documents if you're in the legal space, IT documents if you're in the IT space, policies if you're creating policies or you want to see the differences between a policy created 2 years ago and a policy created last week. So many use cases for that. I have got a Copilot in Word tips and prompts that I will be sharing in the link below. So please click on it once you finish watching this video, of course, and please feel free to use it. It's got some great examples of using Copilot in Word. So anyway, that was the first example, how to compare documents. Now, another use case for Copilot in Word is for summarizing documents. And the scenario here is that you've got a long document, a large document, 100 pages, 200 pages, whatever it may be. Can Copilot accelerate the time that it takes for you to review that document? Absolutely. So let's go into, I'm just going to open up another Word document here, and I'm going to ask Copilot, I'm actually going to go to the document. I need to go to the IT department. So Contoso, let's see, now where did I pull it? Let's see, Contoso IT. I am just going to find the document. Right, there we have it. So it's this document here called 4G, 5G Network Suitability Evaluation Criteria Contoso. Apologies, that is a mouthful and a half for a document name. Hopefully your documents aren't as long as mine and so on. So there we are, that's a little side trip. Don't make your documents super long in terms of the name. But look, it's open it up, Copilot in Word, and you can see how I actually get a summary of this document even before going into the document, which is, you can see, 16 pages, 7,000 words. I've got a document, a summary here. So Copilot will summarize the document for me. I've got these tabs over here, insights. So I can even get some insights against that document if there have been any things. Look at that. There are some suggested questions that worth asking against that document. So, you can even, without actually typing any prompts, I can use the insights section to get information on the document. How do the requirements for mobile and VR gaming experience differ from the 5G era? Some great prompts here with the answers already there. And then there's also discussion. If there are any comments that were discussed then that's what would appear over there. And they also have activity, which again lists who has been acting on the document, who's been editing the document, who are the unique viewers, etc. So that's the summary there. So I can also create my own prompts. So if there were specific prompts I wanted to use because they're not in the insights, I could go over here and I could say things like, actually, what I want to say? Can you summarize this document in 25 words or less? I just want to know a brief summary of the document. I don't want to read everything there. Just give me the highlights. So that's what it will do on the right-hand side. Notice I'm using Copilot on the right. There's my summary. Guide operations on optimized 4G, 5G networks, etc. And then you can see there's some more prompts here on the side if I wanted to use them. Or of course I can create more prompts. So I can say something like, are there any actions assigned to me? Unlikely though, but if there were, it would come up over there. So just bear in mind, this scenario of using Copilot in Word is to reduce the time that it takes for you to look through a document by using Copilot to interrogate the document for you, give you the insights and so on. As you can see, there are some insights, but mainly relating to emails, which is not to do with the document. So that's fine. So you can see this is the second scenario of using Copilot to summarize the document, whether you're using the pre-canned options on the top here, as you can see, using the summary tab, the insights tab, or the insights or the discussion, where you can also use Copilot on the sidebar here and interrogate your document using your own prompts. The third scenario for using Copilot in Word is for content creation. So in this scenario here, I've got a document called customer accounts. So let me just go to it if I can remember where I saved it. Customer accounts, right, now that will be under operations, my operations. Of course, I can just search it actually, you know what I'm going to do? Customer accounts, there we are. So I'm just going to open this document. Actually, no, I'm not, tell a lie. I'm actually going to create this is what I'm going to do. So I need to create a proposal based on a Word document. This document is called customer accounts. What I'm going to do here is create a proposal to a company in the manufacturing industry based on this document called customer accounts. So this customer accounts document is quite small. Actually, if I click on it here, you can have a quick look at what it looks like. Just bear with me 1 second. Actually, no, we can't do that. But it's actually quite a small document. Let me just go to it here. If I click here, you'll see what it looks like. That's the preview there that it opens. So you can see it's quite thin. It's a document that I'm using for a customer to create a proposal, a Contoso data validation solution document, but it's quite light, So I want to create something a bit more in a proposal format. So create a proposal to a company in that industry for that document. Click on generate, off it goes, working on it. And before you know it, I will have a first draft. It's worth noting that this is just a first draft. This is not the final copy. It's still recommended that you review what Copilot creates and you validate it. But you can see it's created it really quickly. It's given me an executive summary, an introduction, the solution overview, key features, customer data sample, and so on. You know what? I can then, if I'm happy with that, I can keep it, but I can also, if I wanted to add more information, I could do that. For example, can you add a risks and recommendations section? Risks and recommendations section, can you add that? Because we don't have that in the proposal. So it's going to do that, and it's going to regenerate the second version of that document. You can see that the previous sections are still there, but you'll see towards the bottom, we've got a risks and recommendations. And you can see those are the risks: data security integrator, integration challenges, change management, recommendations. Those are the recommendations that are recommended. The next steps, conclusion. So you can see that's done quite quickly. What a difference between this document and the one that I showed you beforehand. You've got a nice proposal style document with the various sections. You can see at the bottom here, if I wanted to keep this version, I'll just click on keep it. If I wanted the previous version, I can just navigate, and that's the first version there of the document. So I hope you enjoyed the video, the session we had today. This was all about Copilot in Word, and I showed you how you could use it to compare documents. I showed you how you could use it to summarize content and interrogate a document quickly. And then I also showed you how you can use it to create content from content. So create a proposal from a one-pager, add follow-up prompts, etc. Please, I encourage you to also access the Copilot in Word tips and prompts. That's down there in the link below. I hope you enjoyed it. If you can also please, in the comments section, let me know what the type of things you're using Copilot in Word for. I'd love to hear what your challenges are, which will then allow me to give you suggestions on how Copilot can help you. Again, this was just focusing on Copilot in Word. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back again very soon for another session on all things Copilot. Until then, have a great day, evening, morning, whatever time of the day it is for you. Take care. Bye for now.